All right, guys, I thought this would be a little fun, but I thought we could go back to what Blitz was like in the very early days of Blitz. Go back, travel through time, see what Blitz looked like. If you guys were one of the first players, or had been with the game now for about 4 or 5 years, you may remember a lot of this stuff and what Blitz was like. So let's go back and travel in time. So here we are. This is what Blitz looks like nowadays. We've got a lot of stuff, and it's really funny. I went back through and looked at some really old recordings I had, some screenshots. There was a lot of things that I had completely forgot about, and that was really fun to just kind of like just think to myself, reminisce with my brother, and wow, this game has really changed over the years. And for those that are newer to the game and don't remember this may also be kind of fun because the maps and just so much was different. So let's go back and travel through time. Woo! All right, so here we are, back in the day. Good old days of World of Tanks Blitz when it first came out. This is about 2014, 2015. Of course, this is around the time that I had joined Blitz. And yeah, it is so crazy. There wasn't all the tanks that we now have in the game nowadays. There was no hybrid nation. There was no Japanese tanks. There was no French tanks. As a matter of fact, when the game first came out, the only nations there were America, German, and Russia. And even in those, they only had one tank destroyer, one heavy, and one medium tank. There were no light tanks at higher tiers in the game. There used to be preferential matchmaking with some premium tanks. There used to be +2, -2 matchmaking, where if you were like a tier 6 vehicle, you would get put in battles that were tier 8. And I don't know if you remember this, but the people that would buy the IS-6 and then SEAL Club it back in the day, where they would platoon with another IS-6, because they had preferential matchmaking, they would never go against tier 10 vehicles. And yeah, they were like super OP, like tier 6. It was like impossible to penetrate the IS-6s. So the IS-6 was like a hot tank back in the day. And yeah, it was even funny because I don't even know if some of you guys remember this, but there used to be sometimes when tier 1 vehicles would platoon with a tier 10 vehicle, they would get put in the same game. You would actually see tier 1 vehicles and tier 10 vehicles in the same game. And the tier 1 vehicles did absolutely nothing. I was actually surprised that nothing was done about this at the very beginning. But you would see things like tier 1 vehicles on the back of tier 10s, or they would go in the corners of the maps or in some obscure place and try to barricade the tier 1 vehicle teammate behind this massive E100 so that the enemies couldn't kill them. And they had to either try to cap in time, and if they didn't, you would have this swarm of enemies around a dead E100 trying to pen this tiny little tier 1 tank. The tier 1 vehicles back then were way different. We didn't have all the, the different consumables. Just such a different game. going in and even looking at a lot of these maps now, I mean, it is just crazy. The Oasis Palms map has changed. The Mines map has changed. Yeah, I mean, it is really, really crazy just going in and looking at some of these maps and what Blitz used to look like. I mean, yeah, just wow. There used to be things where people could get in really obscure areas on maps and get just, yeah, really high up, just in these super high areas. And just be able to like snipe across the entire map and almost get this OP visibility across everything. Or like, yeah, tanks would get stuck. I mean, it just was definitely different days of Blitz. And so, yeah, just quite funny to look back and think of where Blitz has come from. Yeah, like there used to be the E5 American heavy tank used to have a hatch on top. Nowadays, it doesn't have a hatch. That was removed. There used to be premium tanks in the game that only came out ever so often. Actually, back in the day, it was quite easy to collect all the premium tanks. And nowadays, it's impossible because they release them so often. There was no crates back in the day. So, I mean, it is really crazy and sometimes cool to go back and look at a lot of this stuff. One thing that did come to my mind that I thought would actually be pretty cool and kind of funny. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this, but maybe for like an April Fool's event or something, if World of Tanks Blitz, just for like one day, brought back all of these old maps again that we could play on. I just think that would be so fun to just it could be like its own special event. It could be entirely separate, not to affect win rates or anything like that, kind of like how the Mad games were, but just bring back all the old maps and just be able to play on those. Yeah, I don't even know if they have them anymore, but I just think that would be so fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I would be really curious. How many of you guys were around when all this was like this? So anyway, I just thought this was just a really fun video to make. Just a blast from the past, kind of a throwback Thursday, if you will. So anyway, yeah, this is Stud Muffin 1986. I guess I forgot to say at the beginning, welcome back to the channel. But anyway, you guys stay cool and keep tanking.